I am a nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. Some of you guys know who I am. I practice nutritional pharmacy. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs. I look at the body as a healing system and a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, but it does need raw materials to do its work. The raw materials we call nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Yesterday, an article appeared in the Reuters Health News website, on the Reuters Health News website. The article was on blood clots and the hormone estrogen and a hormone condition called PCOS, which is a fancy schmancy medical acronym for polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a condition that's marked by lots of cysts on the ovary. The Reuters article talked about, the Reuters article was based on a study that came out of Canada. The Canadian Medical Association Journal had an article that the Reuters story reported on. It was a research article that studied 43,500 women from a, quote, large health insurance database, unquote, and determined that 24 out of 10,000 women with PCOS who were on estrogen, actually on the birth control pill, which is a toxic form of estrogen, were diagnosed with a blood clot. Not a good thing. However, surprise, surprise, according to the authors of the study, not to worry, the risk is small, and you can still, according to the authors anyway, safely take your toxic estrogen birth control pill if you so desire, not to worry about blood clots. Now, leaving aside the fact that the pill, the birth control pill, is really not estrogen. It's a toxic pharmaceutical cancer-causing estrogen. Yes, cancer-causing. Look it up. It's on the FDA's known to cause cancer list. The real problem here, as I see it, is the fact that no woman is ever supposed to have cysts on their ovary, ever, period, never. And certainly no woman is ever supposed to have polycysts, many cysts on the ovary. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a major sign of messed up biochemistry. Women with PCOS tend to be overweight, they have oily skin, acne, PMS, menstrual problems, digestive problems, and most distressingly, body hair and facial hair, mustaches, beards, and thinning hair on the heads. This is a very, very troubling syndrome. And what makes PCOS really distressing is the fact that it is so unnecessary, and it is so easy to address, and it is so easy to reverse completely, 100%. In this way, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is like a poster child for all degenerative bodily breakdowns. And by degenerative, I mean a kind of breakdown that doesn't get better, that just keeps getting worse. Autoimmune diseases, osteoarthritis, brain diseases, nerve diseases, and the two leading causes of death in this country, cancer and heart disease, are classic degenerative diseases, and PCOS has much in common with them. The good news is here, folks, if you have any degenerative disease, if you have any kind of degenerative breakdown where the body's not getting better, where it's just tumbling out of control, where your condition is just deteriorating, while there's no drugs that can help you, none, zippo, nada. There's no doctors that can help you, none, zippo, nada. There's no Obamacare, there's no insurance companies, there's no surgeries, there's no devices. Nothing in the medical models, armamentum, or formulary can help you with the degenerative disease. The good news is you don't need a doctor or a device or a drug or an insurance company or Obamacare. There's only two things we need to do if we have any degenerative disease, whether it's PCOS or osteoarthritis or Parkinson's disease, MS, cancer, heart disease, you name it. If we have any kind of disease, dysfunction, breakdown that doesn't get better, that is by definition degenerative, there's only two things we need to do. Number one, we need to eliminate whatever is preventing the body from doing its healing work. The body is a healing system. It's in its nature to heal. It's in its nature to regenerate. It's in its nature to be healthy. It is divinely mandated to be healthy. Number one, we got to figure out why it's not doing what it needs to be doing. What is blocking this regenerating system? And then we need to eliminate what's blocking the regenerating system. And number two, we got to give the body the wherewithal, the raw materials, the building blocks it requires to do its work. That's it. There's no drugs that can do this. There's no doctoring, there's no surgery, there's no devices, there's no insurance companies. It's the divine force, the intelligence that is built into every one of the 100 trillion cells of our body that handles the healing work. There's no doctor that can duplicate a cell. There's no doctor that can duplicate the divine intelligence that is built into the cell. In the case of PCOS, you're basically looking at a hormonal condition. Specifically, you're looking at cells that are going nuts. You're looking at cells that are dividing out of control secondary to hormone problems. That's what a cyst is. A cyst is cells going crazy. A cyst is cells growing out of control. A cyst is cells gone wild, cells misbehaving. And when do cells misbehave? Cells misbehave the same reason children misbehave or anyone else misbehaves. When they don't get love and they don't get attention and they don't get nurtured. Simple as that. When they're being attacked and they're not getting the raw materials they need, that's when cells misbehave. When they're being assaulted and insulted and not being fed, just like a kid, just like a person. We need to begin to see ourselves as living things, like children. They need nurturing, they need love, they need attention, and they have to have a clean living environment. And that's pretty much all it is. And you know what, folks? That is such great news, because it means that simply by paying attention to certain issues, certain metabolic issues, certain chemistry issues, making sure you're on a nutritional supplement program, getting on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, getting on the Healthy Start Pack, getting on the Sweeties program product, getting on the essential fatty acids, using digestive enzymes, you can turn whatever your flavor of degenerative disease around. Not only can you turn it around, but you can begin to become healthy, because that's our right. That's our birthright. That's the divine birthright. And that's what this program is all about. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, you want to get off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we welcome your calls on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number. 888-379-2552. Toll free. We're going to take a break. We'll be coming back at you with more good health information right after this. Don't go away. I am Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for the next 45 minutes or so with my good friend and colleague Douglas Winfrey. What is up, Douglas?
Well, I thought we'd talk about food today, as it is big in the health realm. And I've got a Yahoo story that I got off Yahoo that the headline reads, 5 powerful age-defying foods. And I thought they were going to be talking about, maybe something that has
whey protein, eggs.
Yeah, something that has resveratrol in it or something like that, or something like, the
Fish.
new longevity product that helps the telomeres in your chromosomes not shorten, so it will help your cells live longer.
Immortalium. Have you talked about that yet?
Immortalium. I haven't tried it yet, but I've got some on order, so it should be coming in soon.
Hey, how about the Go Foods before we get to that? Have you tried the Go Foods yet?
I have ordered some, but I have not tried them yet. I had a little bit of concern because, as you know, I am gluten intolerant, and it does say on the label of the ones that don't have wheat in them, they are processed in the same facility, so there could be possible cross-contamination. But these 5 age-defying foods, I was kind of shocked by some of these because, namely, cereal was number 3 on the list.
Come on,
because,
you're kidding.
And they're touting whole grains and high fiber, and they say low-sugar cereal because of the fiber, and the grains protect you from a disease. And I'm thinking, well, what if you're gluten intolerant? You're not going to be getting any use out of these cereals. But the top one on the list kind of surprised me, and that was popcorn. They say,
popcorn's a major GMO crop, of course.
They say it's 100% whole grain, a great source of fiber, also a great plant chemicals called polyphenols and antioxidant properties to remove free radicals. And I thought, then you slather a bunch of butter and salt all over it.
This has got to be a mainstream. This got to be a mainstream dietitian
or something. This is from
Elissa
Zaid, a nutritionist, and she's the author of a book, but I'm not going to say the book because I don't want to give her any.
I have the book.
Oh, you do have her book.
I went and bought the book. Is that who wrote this article? That's
Elissa Zaid. It's her top 5 foods that help you look younger. Potatoes was second on the list. It said carbs are essential because they give your body, your brain, your red blood cells, your nervous system the basic glucose they need for energy, also enhance the production of serotonin. And then we talked about cereals. There were a couple at the bottom of the list here that were ones that you would approve and Doc Wallach would approve, and that is nuts. And this comes from a study from the New England Journal of Medicine. They say that it showed that longevity benefits are associated with eating an ounce of nuts every day, and they don't mean peanuts here because those are legumes.
Because those aren't nuts, right?
Yeah. They mean things like Brazil nuts and other types of nuts. Walnuts are very good, and almonds and pecans.
Walnuts are great. Great.
I love to just go get the big bag at the store and just eat them. You mix those with maybe some dried cranberries or some dried cherries or something. Makes a great trail mix. Yeah. And then eggs was on the list. They said because of the high-quality protein. They said 2/3 of the fat of the egg actually comes from unsaturated fats, including the part of your breakfast.
Did she say the yolk? Did she say just the yolk or just the white and throw out the yolk?
No, she didn't get specific on which part of it is good for you.
She probably hasn't gotten a chance to say that yet. Here's a trivia question for you. There's one nut that will get you nearly your entire RDA, recommended daily allowance, or ridiculous deficiency allowance, depending on how you look at it. There's one nut that will get you your RDA amount of selenium. What nut is that?
Hazelnut.
No.
No.
Brazil nuts.
Oh, I already said that. I thought your trick question.
But you got to make sure the Brazil nut is grown in the right kind of soil. And that's one of the things about things like nuts and grains and cereals and potatoes and vegetables, indeed. And this is why nutritional supplementation is so important. Anything that's grown in the soils, you really have no idea how much of anything is in that plant or in that fruit or in that vegetable or in that nut or in that seed or legume or whatever. You know, we read all these things on the internet and in nutrition books, and you know how many grams of this or how many milligrams or micrograms of that, or how much vitamin C, how much selenium, how much magnesium is in your corn or in your grains or in your nuts. But really, Doug, how do we know? You know, these are all averages. It brings
to mind, have you ever seen Dr. Gerhard Schrauzer's presentation?
On selenium?
Yeah, where he shows a map of the world and shows the areas where selenium is deficient in the soil, and then he has an overlay that he does over the top of it. And guess what? Where there's no selenium in the soil, that's where we have the most incidence of mad cow disease.
How do you like that? And probably heart disease too, Keyshawn syndrome and all that kind of stuff. You know, that's the thing about folks who just want to get their nutrients from foods. It's all well and good that you eat your spinach and your broccoli, and I love spinach and broccoli and tomatoes and Brussels sprouts, et cetera, but how do we know not only that the nutrients are in the fruits and the vegetables, but the things the plant makes from the nutrients, the so-called phytosubstances? I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. We will be back right after this. Our number, by the way, is 831-685-1080 or toll-free 888-379-2552. Don't go away. Got more good health information coming right up after this. So what kind of cereal was she talking about, by the way?
She wasn't specific. Whole grains was one of the things she mentioned. So
Sugar Pops.
I don't think whole grain sugar pops. Whole grain low sugar. So
she did say low sugar.
Yeah.
Well, what cereal's all sugar? That's what sugar is. Polysaccharides, starch, whatever you want to call it. That's sugar, and it breaks down to sugar. You know, there's a really neat book called
those bales of hay my mom used to try to make me eat. Those.
There's sugar.
Shredded wheat stuff?
No, the fiber is not digestible. Fiber is a kind of sugar that the body doesn't digest. Why would people even
eat that stuff? I mean, it's like eating bales of hay.
Fiber. You need fiber, man. Fiber is undigestible carbohydrates. And it's the one kind of carbohydrate. Well, I shouldn't say the one kind, but it's an important kind of carbohydrates. You know, we bust on carbs all the time. But what people don't recognize is most of our calories should come from carbs. And I'm guilty of it, too, ripping on carbs. What we need to understand...
Well, aren't they really talking about complex carbohydrates?
No, that's not the distinction that I would make, because simple carbs are also important to a certain extent. What you want to look for is vegetable carbohydrates. That's the kind of carbohydrates that we need. Fiber carbohydrates, as well as carbohydrates that are included with things like the B vitamins and magnesium and substances, and chromium, vanadium, substances that can help you process the carbohydrates. The ones you want to stay away from, the carbs you want to stay away from, are most importantly the refined carbohydrates, the ones where they take the starch out and they throw out the nutrients. You know what's interesting about starchy foods and sugary foods, even the sugar plant itself, the sugar beet or the sugar cane? What makes these kinds of foods really fascinating to me as a nutritionist anyway, is the fact that these foods that are so rich in sugar are also rich in the B vitamins, especially B1 and B3. They're rich in zinc. They're rich in magnesium. They tend to be rich in fiber. They're rich in selenium. They're rich in nutrients that help us process the sugar. But what we do when we refine sugar is we throw that crap out. We don't need that stuff. That's just nutrients. In fact, sometimes they'll even save it and sell it back to us as nutritional supplements. That's a real nice little trick food processors use. But in any case, they'll take out the sugar in the middle, which is the starch, and then they'll use that because that's so powerfully addicting. That stuff in the middle is the stuff we can't get enough of. Douglas, check this out. Living things love sugar. If it's alive, it loves sugar. All our cells love sugar. We can't get enough sugar. Problem is, we got too much sugar. Back in the day that our bodies were being developed and that we were growing up on the African savanna, there wasn't a lot of sugar. So we developed a chemistry that can't get enough sugar, that will just absolutely do anything, whatever it takes to get sugar. It's not just humans. All animals will do it. You know, sugar is like heroin to a pigeon. You ever see those pigeon pecking experiments they do, or rats running through a maze? these sometimes.
Yeah, I actually saw an interesting deal. Skinner, B.F. Skinner, did a whole thing during the World War II, I believe it was, where he was doing
funded by food companies and
But no, it was trying to get pigeons to fly a guided missile.
Oh, that's a good one.
Using that same technology, though, of getting them to peck these dots by food, giving them food rewards.
Right,
and
but
there were three pigeons in the nose cone of this bomb, and they were supposed to guide it. So
I think it worked, didn't it?
It did, but they ended up finding radar came along, and so there wasn't really
right. But it was successful for a little bit.
Yeah, it was.
You know what the Russians did? They would train dogs to look for their food under tanks. And then when tanks came, the dogs would run under the tanks and they'd put a bomb around the dog's neck. That's kind of cruel, actually. I don't know if that's not a very nice thing to do.
Yeah, don't let PETA hear you talking about that.
That's pretty terrible. I want to, when we come back from our break, we'll take our phone calls. But I want to touch on this subject that we were just talking about here about carbohydrates and this fascinating idea that foods that are really, really sweet, foods that have lots of starch, also have lots of nutrients in them. That's kind of an interesting testimony to the divine intelligence that runs the universe and runs that the life force really is all about. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. We'll be back right after this. All right, we are back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. We'll take your phone calls here in just a minute. I want to finish up that idea that we were talking about before we went to break, how nature has provided the foods that have all the sugar in them. Nature has set it up so that they'll also have all the nutrients that we need to process the sugar, which is why you want to stay away from refined carbohydrates. The refining process singularly removes the good stuff and leaves the bad stuff. And the bad stuff is the stuff that we're all hooked on that we can't get enough of, and that is the sugar. And it's built into our cells. It's built into our cellular nature to drive for sugar. When cells become low sugar, the signals are sent out to get you out there and go get sugar. And it's somewhat of a complicated process, but really, the more sugar you eat, as it turns out, the more you're going to want. And it has to do with insulin. It has to do with low blood sugar states. The bottom line is you want to stay away from foods that spike your insulin, and those are mostly the refined carbohydrate foods. If you're going to do carbs, do them as veggies. And indeed, as I say, most of our calories need to be coming from veggies. I'm not really a vegetarian, Doug. You know, I don't want to say that. I'm not fond of meat, but there's great things in meat. But the fact is, the bulk
you can't beat a good steak.
Well, even from a nutritional standpoint, there's things that you can't get anywhere else. And certainly dairy and eggs have nutrients that you can't get anywhere else. But you absolutely cannot overestimate the importance of vegetables. You notice I didn't say fruits. Almost everybody will tell you fruits and vegetables. I don't say that. Fruits are a problem. Vegetables, small amount of fruits. That's a whole nother story. By the way, there was a neat article that came out on avocados a couple days ago. Did you guys talk about that? Avocados and satiety and satisfaction.
I heard you talking about that on your show, though.
I talked about it on The Bright Side. And by the way,
I eat those things almost daily.
They're so amazing, right? And I've been talking about them for years. And this study just came out, and they said if you include half an avocado in your meals, you will find that you are satisfied for much longer than if you don't include a half avocado. And some people were satisfied in this study anyway by including half an avocado with their meals for 5 hours. And they didn't even mention the salt part. I always tell people put Celtic sea salt or some kind of good quality salt on top of the avocado, and you'll amp up the electrical energy and make it much more satisfying. And this is very important for those of us who are trying to wean ourselves off of carbohydrates and wean ourselves off these starchy kind of carbs that we're addicted to. Hitting the satiety buttons, the satisfaction buttons in our brain, the shutoff center, the appetite suppressant center in our brain is the best way to lose weight, to reduce your appetite, and to make it easier to stay away or wean yourself away from refined carbohydrates. And by the way, this is one of the important benefits of a good nutritional supplement program. Nutrients can do that too. Nutrients like the B vitamins and vitamin C and electrolytes and the fat-soluble vitamins, especially the water-soluble vitamins though, and protein as well, amino acids as well, turn off the eating centers, the behavioral centers in the brain that send us out looking for food, especially looking for sugar. And this is why people lose weight on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. You know, we don't even really talk about it that much as a weight loss tool, but it is. Why? Because it gives your body and then your brain the nutrients that the body and the brain to do their work. And once that happens, appetite shut-off centers, switches are hit, basically. Biochemical switches are hit in the brain that shut off the appetite, and it makes it so much easier to wean yourself off these refined carbohydrate foods that everybody, seemingly, is so addicted to. All right, time to hit the phones. Douglas, what do you say we take our first phone call? 831-685-1080, by the way, is our priority line number. And 888-379-2552, toll free. Let's take our first phone call of the day.
Let's head to Salisbury, Maryland. And George, you're on with pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, George?
Hello, Ben. How are you?
How you doing? How you doing, man? Did you say Salisbury, Maryland?
Yes.
Do you know my friend GZ?
GB?
No? GZ, no? Okay. I thought you might know him. He's out there in Maryland with Longevity. We got to take a break. I'm sorry. Hang tight, okay? We'll get you first up when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number. 888-379-2552, toll free. We'll be back with more good health information and your phone calls right after this. Don't go away. All right, we are back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program, talking to George in Salisbury, Maryland. What's up, George? How can we help you?
Yes, Pharmacist Ben. I have two cases here. A lady who's 60 years old. She had a mammogram done on August 2012, and after that she spoke with Dr. Wallach, and Dr. Wallach had suggested that she get another opinion. So she had this information sent to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore on August 22, 2013. And the report has come back, and that's what I was calling in for her. She wanted to get information as to what to do. They said, on the report, they said that she had scattered fibroglandular 6 mm nodular system in the right breast at 10.
Okay. How old is she?
And she's 60.
Okay. Overweight?
No.
No? All right, you want some help with that?
Yes.
All right, there's a whole bunch of things you want to do. First of all, this is very important when it comes to cancer. All right, obviously, it's one of the most horrible things that can happen to a person in this lifetime is cancer, and we're all sort of living under this sort of Damocles in a way. We like never know when it's going to hit. We just kind of live our lives, and at any given moment, we could have that horrible diagnosis. So this is something that we really want to be serious about. The body does not, or cells in the body do not become cancerous until they are at their last resort, until they're at their wit's end. You know how when you have something going on in your life over and over again, and finally you just explode, you're at your wit's end? You know what I mean by that, George, when I say that? Cancer is a cell at its wit's end. It doesn't know what else to do. A cancer cell is a cell that is completely freaked out, and it has switched on into a much more primitive way of behaving, a much more primitive way of living its life. And a cancer cell is a life that is wasteful of energy. It doesn't know how to utilize energy. It sucks up energy like a sponge. And by energy, I'm talking calories, and I'm talking nutrients as well. And that's how we die of cancer, by the way, because the cancer cell is just completely gone crazy. It's like girls gone wild. It's cells gone wild. That's what a cancer cell is. The point is, it takes a long time for it to happen. And the body is designed to carve out cancer. We get cancer every day. You and I get cancer every day. We get mutations in our DNA, which is really what cancer is, and our body cleans it up. Cancer only takes place after a long period of abuse of the body. So what you got to do is you got to immediately, stat, pronto, right away, you have to eliminate it's just what I talked about at the beginning of the program. You have to, number one, you have to eliminate whatever's getting into the body that's causing these cells to become suffocated. That's what's really happening. A cancer cell is a cell that is suffocated and drowning in its own waste. Both of them. I don't mean to sound disgusting or graphic, but it's really important that we hear that. It's really important that we understand what we're doing to our bodies over time. So number one, your friend has to eliminate any kind of problem foods, and especially fatty foods. The breasts are fatty tissue, and cancers of the breast oftentimes involve the fatty part of the body. People who get breast cancer typically will have a gallbladder issue, liver issue, maybe an intestinal issue. All those are going to affect how she absorbs fats. Now, so that's first of all. And I want to say that because I'm going to talk about nutrients now, but I don't want to be misleading and say, let's just take this nutrient, take that nutrient. It's an entire lifestyle strategy. And the first thing to do is to eliminate what's getting into the body that's causing these cells to freak out, and usually it's food, and usually it's some kind of food allergy or intolerance or something that's not getting processed. Get on and you should also probably get on digestive support, the Biolumin Nightly Essence, the Ultimate Enzymes, etc. Now, as far as the cancer goes, there's a lot you could do for breast cancer. Remember, it's a fatty part of the body, so you're going to want to work with fats. The EFAs, Ultimate EFAs, very important. 9 a day. Make sure she's taking them with food. Probably be sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine all day. And selenium is not only anti-cancer, but selenium is also anti-estrogen. And oftentimes, breast cancer involves estrogen issues, problems with the hormone estrogen. So you want to be able to stabilize and balance estrogen. The Z-radical, by the way, that's also important. Selenium is important for balancing out estrogen and for cancer. Selenium is just spectacular for everybody. And by the way, selenium requires a healthy gallbladder and a healthy liver to be absorbed correctly. You got to be making bile. So if she has a digestive problem, she may have a selenium issue. I'd be using around 600 micrograms a day of the selenium, a capful or 2 a day of the Z-radical. Sip on the BTT all day long. Make sure she's on the Healthy Start Pack. You may want to throw in those digestive enzymes and the Biolumin Nightly Essence as well. And then last but not least, think about progesterone, or have her ask her doctor about progesterone. For all estrogenic issues, using progesterone cream can be helpful. You'll have to go to a pharmacy to have a good one made up for you, but it might be worth it. Progesterone balances out excess estrogen. And oh, by the way, vitamin A and vitamin E also have anti or estrogen blocking kinds of effects. So those are a couple other things that you might want to think about. Does that help you?
Yes.
All right, good. Anything else, George? Did you have something?
One more.
Yeah.
There's a young man. He's 35 years old. He's diagnosed, I believe, as schizophrenia. He does. Okay. He does all kinds of things.
How old did you say he was? 25?
35.
35. Okay. Yeah, schizophrenia is an interesting one. Think food. You know, I wish I had time to tell you a story about a guy I used to know who had schizophrenia, and he was on all kinds of medications. I changed his diet around, off his medications within a week, off all of them, and he felt a lot better too. It's a really interesting story. I'm not going to bore you with the details. Think food. Think digestion. And that's true about autism, by the way. It's true about schizophrenia. It's true about all psychoses kinds of issues. This is a hidden link, a hidden secret behind these kinds of mental health crises, mental health issues. It involves how the body processes sugars. It involves bacteria in the gut. It involves digestive issues, especially, I say especially if they have a digestive problem, but almost all of them will have a digestive problem. So focus on grains especially, by the way. There's a really neat book. It's called The Gut and Psychology Syndrome, and it's all about something called the GAPS diet. And this physician actually talks about using digestive strategies and eliminating gluten and wheat and grains for schizophrenia. Now, in addition to that, you're going to want to use digestive support. The Biolumin Nightly Essence is unbelievable. Next to the BTT, or maybe equal with the BTT, my favorite longevity product. Everybody should be on the Biolumin Nightly Essence. I've said it before. You could build an entire company just on that one product. That's how good that product is, and it's especially effective if you have mental health issues or psychoses, or everybody benefits from it. You know, this whole issue with probiotics, we're starting to hear about it now, but more and more over the coming years and decades, we're going to be learning so much about how bacteria and humans, bacterial cells and human cells, are interrelated. Today we understand that there's bacteria that live in the gut that turn on our immune system, and when we don't have those kinds of bacteria, we become susceptible to all kinds of problems. There are bacteria in the gut that communicate with our digestive system, that tell our digestive system how to process sugars and breads and carbohydrates. And when we don't have enough of those bacteria, or the right kinds of those bacteria, that doesn't happen, and gases can start to build up in the blood from food that doesn't get processed. Those gases get into the brain. It's a big mess. So focus on the digestive system, eliminate gluten, and then for all brain issues, always think electrolytes, B vitamins, and essential fatty acids. That would be the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, your Ultimate EFA, in fact, your entire Healthy Start Pack, in addition to the Biolumin Nightly Essence. Okay? Does that help you, George?
Great.
All right, my man. Thanks so much. All right, that was a long-winded answer. I'm sorry about that. Let's go to our next phone call before we go.
Let's head to Ohio, and Johnny, you're on with pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Johnny?
Hey, what's going on, Pharmacist Ben? How are you doing?
Doing good. How can we help you, my man?
Okay. My wife and I were both athletes. I'm 64. She's 62.
Are you from New Jersey or Philadelphia?
No, from Ohio.
Oh, okay. You sound like Philadelphia.
I sound like New Jersey.
Yeah. Do you say orange?
No.
Do you say orange?
Oh, my.
you say
No,
water?
not even a chance. Everybody thinks I'm down from the hills. So.
Okay. All right. I'm
But
sorry. I didn't mean to
anyway,
interrupt. You're an athlete.
Well, it used to be. And
Okay.
what we're doing now, I've taken all kinds of these supplements that'll build back cartilage and it'll repair. And I'm totally at my wit's end.
Okay.
And I've got a place right now that I can't even lay at night with my two knees touching it. I wake up 3 and 4 times a night.
How old are you?
And I was watching Dr. Joel on a Christian show, and it's got me excited about this. So I called the company.
Well,
and
we got to
just
take a
wanted-
break. I want to hear your story. We got to take a break, though. Can you hang on? Hang on. We got to take a commercial, okay? I apologize for that. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. We will be back with more good health information on the ZBS Radio Network right after this. All right, my Ohio friend. I forgot your name. What's up, bro?
Horace Ben, you and Doug, thank you for taking my call.
Sure,
But,
tell me your name real quick. Did you say Doug?
It's Johnny.
Johnny, we got to get quick because I want to get to finish up our board here. So
Okay,
ask me quickly.
real quick here. I just wanted to. My wife was a weightlifter, and I've been, like I say, play ball, and now we're both the place. I need to know what we should
What to do? What to do?
Please?
You want some solutions for the
Yes,
back?
I
You're
do.
starting to get some inflammation and all that stuff. Here's the deal. I've been lifting weights my entire life. I'm 54. I've been lifting weights since I'm 18, okay? So I'm a big believer in weightlifting. I don't do it as hard and intensely as I used to, but I still do it. And I understand it's an important part of exercise. But here's the thing about weightlifting. It ain't good if you don't take care of yourself. And the more work you do, if you're an athlete especially, and not understanding, and I don't mean this as a knock on you, but it's important that we recognize it, not understanding how to take care of the body after you lift the weights creates more harm than good. It's almost better to sit on your butt all day than it is to work out and not take care of your understanding how to use food and how to use nutrition. Number one, pro-inflammatory food, as always, stay away from it. And you'll have to decide for yourself, but typically it involves refined and processed foods. Do you know what I mean by foods that cause inflammation? That's the enemy here. It's always the enemy, but specifically when it comes to back and joint kinds of issues, especially for athletes. So you got to stay away from pro-inflammatory foods. Then you want to start getting on good fats, especially essential fatty acids, and you want to take them with your meals, and I'd be doing 12 a day. How much do you weigh?
I weigh about 174, 175.
Do 12 a day. Do 12 of them a day. Take them with your meals. Okay? And then make sure you're sitting.
I contacted the company, and they've got me on some things here, but that's what I wanted to make sure of, that I'm getting the proper things to address the building back.
There's a lot of stuff here. Let me give you some ideas. There's a lot of stuff. I can't tell you absolutely everything here, but I'm going to give you some ideas. EFAs for sure. Magnesium, the OsteoMag for sure. Probiotics, the Biolumin Nightly Essence for sure. Sip on the BTT all day long. You'd be wise to get on the Healthy Start Pack. Of course, you might want to do the Ultimate Daily as well. And the Z-Radical can be very helpful also for all circulatory and inflammatory issues. Now, I don't mean to diminish or dismiss the glucogel caps. Those are important. The selenium, the OPC selenium, that's important as well. You know, I don't mean to diminish those. Aloe can be helpful, but those are where you want to start, especially the pro-inflammatory foods. And then also maybe one last thing for you, and then we got to move on, Johnny. Thanks for your call. Digestive enzymes. Folks, if you have arthritis or inflammatory issues, digestive enzymes taken on an empty stomach are anti-inflammatory, and they accelerate healing post-surgery, which is very helpful too. I hate rushing through, but I want to get to as many calls as possible. Thanks, Johnny. Who's next? Douglas.
Let's head to Kansas City, Missouri. And Carol, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Carol?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I've got this condition. It's seborrheic keratosis.
Okay.
And I
we'll talk
wondered
about
if I wonder if you could advise anything. Is there anything
Heck yeah.
I can be doing?
Heck yeah.
Topically diet, supplements?
Heck yeah.
All right, what can we do?
All right. So, seborrheic keratosis, 2 words. Seborrhea, that means sebum. That means oil. So you got some oils going on, okay? Keratoses means cells aren't dividing like they should. Skin cells grow from the bottom to the top. And as they're growing and dividing and moving from the bottom to the top, they're changing shape and they're doing all kinds of stuff that has to occur in an organized, coherent, logical fashion. Keratosis is when that doesn't happen. It's almost like the same thing that happens when you have cancer. It's cells dividing out of control, and they start to pile up, and they clog up pores, and they can form little bumps. You probably have little bumps on your arms, correct?
Yes, mostly they're like spots around the midriff and the back.
Okay, but are they bumpy? They're hard? Keratosis is going to be hard.
Some of them are. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a keratoses. Now, the other ones, I don't know, that's a little bit different if it's not hard. A keratoses is going to be hard because what you have is hard proteins that are piling up. And a seborrhea is a sign that it has to do with sebum. Seborrhea means sebum. It's oils. Sebum is the fancy way of saying skin oils. Whenever you have a skin oil issue, think adrenal glands. And possibly because you have the keratoses, when you have a keratoses issue, think fatty vitamins. So between the adrenal glands and the fatty vitamins, this is where you want to be concentrating. That means, what do your adrenal glands do? They handle stress. They take care of stress. So you got to figure out what's causing this physiologic stress in your body. I'm guessing you got a problem with your fats and your fatty vitamins, digestive enzymes, essential fatty acids, and get on that Healthy Start Pack. And folks, if you've listened to this program, you know how important it is to get on a good nutritional supplement program. If you haven't done it yet, do it now. Call Longevity now. Get on the Healthy Start Pack. You will begin to feel better the moment you start putting that stuff in your body. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks so much for listening. For Doc and for MZ and the ZBS Radio Network and Doug Winfrey, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, awesome, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.